I've got a DXS, and a lot of people don't believe that you can have this bound to more than one airplane and or to one model. So I'm going to show you something I've done several times, and then I'll actually show you something a little interesting, so stay till the end so you can see that. For do-it-yourselfers and makers like us, having a reliable partner to help take our projects to that next level is awesome. PCB Way is the partner you want. Of course, PCB Way makes custom printed circuit boards, but did you know they offer 3D printing services? 3D printing has made it possible to build amazing creations, and PCB Way makes it so easy. Take your STL or STEP files, send them to PCB Way, and in just a few short days, you'll get the parts delivered right to your doorstep. Click the link below and you'll get a $5 discount off your first order. Thanks to PCB Way for sponsoring this video. Let me power on the radio. Okay, so radio's on. Now I've already previously bound to this test model. This has got an AR631 on it. And then also the air tractor here, it's got an AR637. So let me power up first the test model here. Should get the dance. Okay, so we're all bound up. I'm trying to do this one-handed, but anyway, as you can see, I've got control over the control surfaces. Now let's unplug this model. Now I'm going to plug in the air tractor. Now I haven't changed the radio. Radio's still turned on. I'm just going to set this here because it's easier for me to do it, but so you can see they're both still bound. I did not have to rebind. The radio still will control either one. All I have to do is turn off the other airplane and then turn on the new one. Now if a channel was reversed, you might have to do the channel reversing procedure. Just for sake of the video, let me really quick show you how to do that. Let me turn this off. If you push both trim switches up while you power it up, it goes into this other mode, and then it flashes for the throttle, aileron, elevator, and rudder. So TAER. And let's say I wanted to change the aileron. I would need to switch to that second channel. So to skip to the next one, you push this button here in the back, the A button. See, now I've switched to A. Now if I want to reverse that channel, I would just push the trim switch up or down. And it's the elevator trim switch. Okay, it was correct to begin with, so I'm not going to mess with it. But anyway, so then to save whatever you set it to, you push the A button again. Now it went to the elevator channel. Push it again. Goes to the rudder. Push it again. Now we're on channel 5, channel 6, channel 7, and then it'll turn off. And you just power back up. And by doing that, you can reverse that channel. So if you had one airplane that had elevator that needed to be switched from the other airplane, when you switch planes, all you'd have to do is go through that procedure, flip your elevator, and then you'd be back in business. Now, let me show you something else that'll really blow your mind. So that one's still plugged in. Let's plug in the test model again, while their other one's already plugged in. Now that plane initialized. Now, both planes are on at the same time, and I'm bound to both, and watch. You can actually control both planes at the same time. Anybody that tells you you can't bind to more than one airplane at a time doesn't know what they're talking about. Now, you would not want to run it that way. The one issue you're going to have is that the telemetry from both receivers is going to be transmitting at the same time, and it won't know which one to recognize. So anyway, obviously you don't want to do that, but I just want to show you that it can happen. And you can bind to more than one plane. So it's really quick to switch between planes. Like in this example, all three control surfaces are the same direction. So I don't even have to reverse it to go between these two airplanes. Now, if you had one that needed flaps and another one that didn't, you would just have to go to that profile setup and change that. and that one. So instead of pushing both trims up and down, you push the throttle trim up and the elevator trim down while you power it up, and that'll get you into the profile select. And that only works if you got the later firmware on it. And then you can switch between profile 1 and 2 for something like, say, an AeroScout on profile 1, and then if you had something like this, it would be profile 2 if you wanted to use flaps. So then you'd switch to profile 2, but you can still do that without rebinding the airplane. Pretty capable little radio. All right, here's a demonstration of how to bind the DXS to any airplane, but you're working with an AeroScout. This is an AR631, same receiver that's in the AeroScout. Now your AeroScout's going to have a little extension plugged into the bind port that's going to come out a couple inches, that's going to be generally accessible from the battery bay. You can also use the button on it, or if you get access to the actual receiver, you can just put a bind plug, it's just a jumper, into that port. I'll show you both ways. First way is using the button. If you hold that button down while you power it up, see the lights blinking? Now it's in bind mode. Now you want to power up the DXS, so you hold this button, hold that button down while you power it up. So I'm going to push that button. Make sure you got the throttle at 0. Oops, hang on. Oh, I guess I did it. I wasn't sure if I was holding that button down while I did it, but okay. Okay, now it's working. So that's all there is to that method. So let me turn off the remote again. Now I'm going to power off the receiver. Now this time I'm going to do it with the bind plug. You just stick your bind plug in. Now this way is generally easier if you're on an AeroScout and the wings are on it, because you can't get to that button. So if you have your cable or you got the receiver, just stick your little bind plug in there, then power it up. Light flashes because you know it's right in bind mode. So again, I'm going to make sure throttle's at 0. I'm going to hold the A button down in the back, power it up. Okay, lights are blinking. Sometimes you got to back it away a little bit from the model. You don't want to be too close. Okay. Okay, so I bound again that way. So now I've got control again. So those are your two binding methods. Pretty simple. Make sure you pull the bind plug out when you're done. And once you bind it, know that the receivers don't forget what radio they're plugged into. So unless you go back into bind mode, you're generally not going to forget the remote that you've got bound up to it. Okay, I got the air tractor here. I got the AR637TA receiver, and we're going to do the bind procedure to enable safe select. So before you plug the battery in, you're going to push and hold the button on the receiver while you plug it in. Okay, so push the button. You got to keep holding that. Don't let go. Okay, so now it's in bind mode. Now you got to hold the A button down while you power on the transmitter. Now I can wait. Okay, let go. Now watch. You see I got the double dance on the control surfaces. That means safe select is now enabled.